Resourceful Designer, episode 215, Hobby versus Business.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. He prefers PlayStation over Xbox, Mark DeCote.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for plugging me in your ears, turning me on in your speaker, listening to me on your computer, wherever you happen to be tuning in. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to listen to me as we discuss running a graphic design business. In today's episode, I'm going to go over where you sit in regards to your design business. And I'm also going to share a resource for getting the most out of your social media. Now, what have I been up to lately? Well, this week I got a brand new razor and decided to, not really shave my head, but cut it down to the shortest my hair has ever been. I call it my COVID cut. I picked one of the attachments for the razor and just went to town cutting all my hair, just running across my whole head. And I must say, although my wife and my daughter weren't too keen on the look, I sure am enjoying it. Makes it really easy first thing in the morning. Don't have to brush anything. Now, other than that, did some work on our garden up front. I'm having a load of mulch delivered this week, so we had to do some weeding and laid out some topsoil and that just to touch up the garden in the front. So that's kind of the house stuff I've been doing. Work-wise, I did finish 2 websites that I had been working on. One of them I'd been doing for quite a while for our clients. It was slow going, just waiting for content. We finally got that one finished and launched. And another client got the website finished. It hasn't launched yet. I'm waiting for final approval, but I don't anticipate anything that would prevent that. So that one should be done within the next day or two. I've also worked on some social media branding for a client. They needed some work done for that. And a few podcast artworks. Podcast artworks keep coming in on a regular basis, which I love. So that's just a little bit of what I've been up to. Now, in the Resourceful Designer community, we're still doing our Monday kickoff meetings. Decided to do one a little bit different this week. Instead of having it Monday morning, we did it Monday evening just to see, and had a couple of different people show up. It's the one thing whenever we schedule these meetings, you can never have the entire community show up because everybody has their own lives and different things going on. But it's nice to get a few people in there interacting, talking, catching up as we get to know each other. Now, in the community, we've also had some great conversations. We had one recently on file management and naming conventions, just discussing the different ways we organize our own files for our clients, for the invoices and the whole bit. So that was interesting. And we had a new member join this week. Katie joined the community, and it didn't take her long to jump right in and start asking questions and giving her commentary on other things. So it's nice to see members who join and are active right away like that. Some people, it takes a little bit of time as they get to know everybody before they become comfortable. But Katie took no time at all. And it looks like she's making some really good progress already on the work that she's doing. Now, if you want to join Katie and all the rest of us in the Resourceful Designer community, head on over to resourcefuldesigner.com/community, where you can sign up and join. And now, this week's Resource of the Week. And this week's resource is the Savvy Social School. Now, the Savvy Social School is run by Andrea Jones, who you may remember from episode 178 of the podcast, which was titled Using Social Media to Promote Your Design Business. Well, I've been a member of Andrea's Savvy Social School since then, and let me tell you, it has helped me so much with my social media. And it is a great community to be a part of. Now, as a member, you learn how to do things like create highly converting social media profiles. She helped me organize my LinkedIn, my Instagram, Facebook, all the profiles. She helped me improve those for better conversion. She teaches you how to build social media sales funnels, how to get people to actually convert into paying clients, as well as creating strategies that mean you can spend less time on social media, but still create a bigger impact. And right there, that's a great trade-off. If you can spend less time on social media and yet make a bigger impact than normal, then that's worth the price of admission in the school right there. Now, beyond that, Andrea hosts a weekly live coaching call. It's a 1-hour call over Zoom where you get on and you can ask any questions you want, and she and other members will help out. I've learned so much from these coaching calls and has really helped me with my social media. There's also a full library of social media courses that you have access to. courses to teach you everything you need to know about LinkedIn, about Instagram, about Facebook, and so much more. And part of the school has an entire library of downloadable content, posts that are actually done for you. If you want something for Mother's Day, you download a post for Mother's Day and you can use it. They're free for you to use. Now, of course, you're being a graphic designer, you're probably going to want to design your own. But if you happen to do any social media for any of your clients, this is a great resource to use. And it saves you having to design them. These are all pre-designed for you. And one of the biggest values that I've had is the hashtag library. There's a library in there covering numerous topics and niches and so much more with all the best and most high-performing hashtags. So you don't have to do any research yourself. You just go in, say, well, I want to do something on real estate or coaching or whatever, and you just find whatever hashtags are appropriate to use on whatever social media. So as I said, I've been getting so much out of this. I am so happy that I am a member. It's a great community. The Facebook group, we're constantly talking in there, helping each other out, asking for advice and tips in regards to social media, and just a lot of encouragement. Now, the Savvy Social School is normally $57 per month, but if you sign up via my link, resourcefuldesigner.com/savvy, and savvy is spelled SAVVY, you save $20 per month. So you can get it for only $37 per month. And you can cancel at any time. So if you want to get in, just see what it's all about, take the courses, look at some of the assets that are downloadable, and then get out. That's up to you. But I highly encourage you to stick around for a little bit and get to know Andrea. And as I said, the weekly coaching calls have paid off tenfold for what the price of the course is. So once again, that resource of the week is the Savvy Social School, and save $20 per month when you use my link, resourcefuldesigner.com/savvy. And now, hobby versus business, which are you? Now, if you do run your design business full-time, like I do, then this episode isn't really for you. Now, feel free to hang out and listen. I love having you here after all, but today I'm talking to all of you out there who do design work from home while working a full-time job elsewhere. So your home-based design work is your side gig. Now, I was talking to someone recently who is doing exactly that. He has a full-time job. He works at an ad agency, and he was doing the odd freelance job, quote unquote freelance job, on the side as a hobby. And that was his word. And calling his side gig a hobby spurred another discussion that we had between each other. But during that discussion, it got me thinking, this would be a great topic for the podcast, because I'm sure he's not the only one thinking that his sporadic side gig is nothing more than a hobby as far as he's concerned. So what is the difference between a hobby and a business? Before I go any further, let me just throw out the standard disclaimer at you. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, a tax expert, or business advisor, or any of that stuff. I'm just sharing what is my opinion here. So do not take any of this as professional advice. Okay, let's get started first with a definition of each hobby and business. A hobby is an activity done for enjoyment, typically during one's leisure time. A hobby encourages the acquisition of skills and knowledge in that area. A business is the activity of making money by producing or selling products, such as goods or services. Simply put, business is any activity or enterprise entered into for profit. Now, by those two definitions, any designs you create that you are paid for should be considered a business venture. You agree? Well, actually, the answer is kind of yes and no. You see, according to the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service in America, a hobby is an activity that an individual pursues without the intent of generating profit. Now, intent is the key word here. So if you are doing something without the intent of creating a profit, then it's a hobby. If you are intending to make profit, then it's a business. Let's use this example. Let's say you have a screen printing machine and you print your own graphic t-shirts. You love being different, so you print these graphic t-shirts that you wear about. Well, if someone sees one of your shirts and offers to pay you to make one for them, that's still considered a hobby because it wasn't your intent to sell it. You didn't create it with the purpose of selling it. However, if you design and print the t-shirts hoping to sell them and putting out there promoting them in order to sell them, then it's a business. A painter, somebody who paints just for the joy of it and maybe sells the odd painting here or there when somebody comes across one or sees one. They say, oh, I really like that. Can I buy that from you? Or somebody says, oh, I know somebody that would look really great in their house. I'll see if they want to buy it. That sort of person is considered a hobbyist. But as soon as that same artist decides to showcase their paintings, maybe at a gallery somewhere or some event, and they do that in the hopes of selling their paintings, then it becomes a business. So if you, as a designer, design something because you want to help out a friend or a family member, or maybe your church or a local organization or charity that you support, or maybe even your kid's sports team, if you decide to design something for them and they then pay you afterwards as a thank you, as long as your intent was to help them and not in making a profit, then it's not a business dealing. A hobby becomes a business as soon as you take the steps to attempt to generate a profit. So if that same friend, family member, church, organization, or charity first offers to pay you in order to do something for them, then you are entering the endeavor with the intent of making a profit. Therefore, you're entering a business dealing. Now, why is this distinction so important? Well, it's important to know if what you're doing is a hobby or if what you're doing is a business for tax purposes. Yep, blame it on the government. If you are making a profit from something, they want their cut. But if you are making money from something like this, design work or whatever, then you actually want them to take their cut. Why is that? It's because if what you're doing is a hobby, you can't deduct any losses or any expenses on your tax return. But once your hobby is classified as a business, then you are entitled to the same tax advantages that every other business enjoys, including home business expenses and other costs that don't normally apply to income from your day job. Now, I'm not going to get into taxes and all that stuff. If you want to know more about home-based graphic design business and tax deductions, go back and listen to episode 18 of the podcast, where I talk specifically about that topic. But declaring your hobby, quote unquote hobby, as a business may even end up saving you money on your taxes because of the expenses that you're able to claim. Now, I'm not going to get into all the legalities of quote unquote under the table dealings. If you only do a couple of side projects a year and you decide to just, do them under the table, pocket the cash without declaring anything, that's entirely up to you. The reason I'm doing today's podcast is so that you know what your options are when it comes to generating extra spending cash. Because in some situations, you may be better off declaring that money and claiming the taxes and saving in the long run. Now, of course, rules may differ depending on where you live, so check with a professional in your area to see if your side gig qualifies as a business. Talk to an accountant, talk to a lawyer, and find out. But keep in mind that you have to actively be seeking to make a profit for whatever you do to be considered a business. But even if that's the case, even if you're actively seeking to make a profit, don't just simply declare that, oh, this must be a business without checking with a professional first, because there can be some very stiff penalties for claiming expenses on your taxes if you don't actually qualify for them. And even though the IRS declares that for something to be considered a business, they have to be seeking to generate a profit, they do have some rules which could prevent your quote unquote hobby from being declared a business, even if you are seeking to make a profit. Now, as I said, rules change depending on where you are, so I'm not going to get into all of them, but just a few things to look out for. I know these are things that the IRS is actually looking for in declaring a venture a business. You have to engage with whatever activity you're pursuing with continuity and regularity. You have to be taking actions to improve profitability. You should be keeping accounting and business records, and you should be consulting professional advisors to help you improve your profitability. So those are some of the things that the IRS is actually looking for in order to declare that a hobby has now become a business. Now, the other thing you can do, which is probably the easiest thing to do, is to forego any of these questions and simply make it official. Name and register your business. Open a business banking account. Begin collecting sales tax if it's applicable in your area, and hire a CPA and other advisors to help you. Now, there's no guarantee that the IRS or whatever taxing agency there is in your country, here in Canada, it's called the CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency. There's no guarantee that whatever you're doing, they will consider it a business. But if you officially register as one, there's almost a 99% chance that they'll agree with you that it is a business. So all of this to say that if you're working from home as a side gig, whether you work full-time in the design space or you do something else entirely and you're just doing some design from home, I know some people consider what they're doing a hobby, but if you're one of them, you may want to really consider declaring it as a business because you can actually save money in the long run with the expenses that you can claim, the deductions, and just overall, it will reduce your taxes that you pay. And it'll make what you do that much more legitimate. So regardless of how often you do things or how you see what it is you do, consider calling it a business and not a hobby. So that's what I want to talk about today. I know it's short and sweet, this one, but there's not much more to say on the topic. And I would love to know what you think. First of all, are you registered? If you're doing this as a side gig, do you actually have a registered business? Let me know. Visit resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 215. I'd love to hear from you. So I know this is a very short episode, but thank you for sticking with me anyways. Before I go, I just want to remind you of the resource of the week, which is the Savvy Social School. If you really want to up your social media game and possibly get some great clients through the various social networks, consider joining the Savvy Social School. And if you use my link, you can save $20 off the normal monthly fee. It's normally $57 a month. You can get it for $37 a month by visiting resourcefuldesigner.com/savvy. And if you're looking for a great group of designers to be your strong, close peers, to help you, be sounding boards, to give you advice, to encourage you, and to hold you accountable to grow your business, then consider joining the Resourceful Designer community at resourcefuldesigner.com/community. We would love to have you. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Mark Decote, wishing you all the best for your graphic design business, whether it's full-time, part-time, or just a side gig. And as I always do, I want to remind you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.